Hello, welcome everybody to Daryl and Boo show for the Monday, the 30th of November. Just coming up off of U.S. Thanksgiving. Wasn't a long weekend for us, but it was a long weekend for all of our U.S.-based counterparts. How was your weekend, Boo?
Yeah, it was good. We'll get to this bike stuff in a second, but I would say I got to pull off, I don't know if there's a name for it at this point, but it's one of those things that you can accomplish in only certain parts of the world. So on Saturday, I was able to go mountain biking with the boys in the morning and then take all three kids out skiing in the afternoon, evening. So there's got to be some sort of name to that, but that's, one of the unique privileges that we have for living in Vancouver.
I've never done the dual sport day that I can remember. You always hear about that, and very, very Vancouver thing to do, but that's cool. So you got up for a few runs on the hill then, and was it decent conditions up there?
Yeah, it was pretty good. They've definitely been cranking up the snowmaking. So there was tons of man-made snow, which I don't mind whatsoever. I know some people are particular around that stuff, but I don't mind whatsoever with man-made snow. And it was, I think we had just kind of gotten there a little bit after the midday rush. And so there was some lineups, but it wasn't too bad. The lineup for the lift was, it was a little bit slower because you have to just load up in households. You can't mix people together, but it still wasn't too bad. Everybody was, pretty relaxed and stuff. And we got about 3 runs in, and the boys were right back at it. And my daughter, who's it's her 3rd season at this point, she was after her about 30 seconds into her first run, and she was back at it as well. So it was pretty good overall. Yeah. How about your weekend?
Yeah, not as eventful as yours. Kind of been having similar weekends for the last, since we're sort of quasi locked down again. So wife and I are still getting out to some local spots that are, being extra cautious around COVID and trying to support the local community and still get out for a run. It was a beautiful day. I think I went on Saturday morning, late morning, and it was just actually gorgeous weather out there for a run. The leaves are changing, and so really enjoyed that. Other than that, we kind of just had a nice relaxing weekend. It was nice. I found it was with US Thanksgiving, Thursday and Friday were particularly quiet work-wise, just in terms of internal emails and all those sorts of things. So good opportunity to really get caught up in a lot of stuff, which I'm sure a lot of people did here in Canada. And just made for a nice relaxing weekend. Didn't have to do too much work over the weekend. So yeah.
Nice.
So we've got our good friend Jon Calalang in the wings here.
Let's bring him on.
Right.
Look at that. He's got a bike in his background too.
Oh man, we must be talking about bikes.
You guys want me to leave for the rest of the show, or?
So there's a race here in Oregon called Ski to Ski.
Yeah, exactly. You can stick me down in the left corner.
Oh. There's a club, and the club's above you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a race here called Ski to Ski, where you do an event basically from sea level to skiing. I also live in an area where you can do both. So Bend is like 4,000 feet high, and our mountain is about a little over 9,000, and it's like 15 miles. So you can go up and ski and then come down into town, and like right this weekend, it's pretty warm, like mid 40s, like Fahrenheit. That's very, very warm in Celsius. In town, there's no snow, so you can go ride, or you can go east to town and ride, and go up and ski and come back down. So everything's within like 40 miles.
And what's the local mountain that you have? Local
Mount Bachelor.
Bachelor, right?
So
Okay.
there's Bachelor's the closest, right? From town to Bachelor, it's 15 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
So most people are there, from town. I think from my house to the ski lift, or at least the parking lot, it's like 25, 30 minutes. And then there's also another pass as you go over Santiam, which is called Hoodoo. That's a smaller one. And then there's another one south if you went over the pass closer to Eugene. So those ones are about an hour and a half away. But the one that's close is real close.
Yeah, that's awesome. And does Bachelor, is it big enough that it has like a small village, restaurants or anything like that? Or
there's lodges. There's 2 lodges.
yeah.
But we're so close to town that the village is town.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, if you were envisioning driving out to like, let's say the Whistler Blackcomb normal area, and you went to like lower, it's about that far. So like, I mean, you're in your car for 15 minutes and you're already starting to see parts of town. So
okay.
yeah, it would be weird to have stuff so close. Plus, it's a big donut around the mountain, which is where all the mountain biking trails are. So it's Deschutes forest land. So like they couldn't build houses. The houses are built literally right up to the forest, and then it turns into national forest and then the mountain pass.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Deschutes, is that where, that's obviously the name of the brewery. Is there actually a brewery in that little area, or there's got to be in there?
So Deschutes Brewery is in town here.
Yeah. Okay.
All of their distribution, and I think they have the distribution is in one part of town, and then the brewery is in another part of town. The brewery you can go to, like you can do tours. They have huge barrels out front, so that's there. But it's named after the river. So the larger river that flows off of Bachelor flows right through town, and then eventually makes its way out to the Columbia. So it's the Deschutes River.
Nice.
That's the one that you'll see us like paddleboarding on or floating down, or it runs right through the middle of town.
Yeah, sounds like an awesome place. I can't wait to get down to Bend when we're able to travel again. That's just sounds like as
long as you go home. People come and don't leave. So
we find that too in Vancouver is the same sort of thing. If you can afford to stay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So John's got his bike up. I got my bike up. So I have I bought a new bike last week, and so 2 months after buying my other bike, already kind of bit the bug and realized that I wanted to upgrade my bike. So I've got my new bike here now. John, have you ridden your bike recently, or are you still off the bike?
Only around the neighborhood recently. So I put a new dropper post on. You can't really see it because it's out of focus, but I put a new dropper post on. So I went for a few rides with that. I was actually going to ride after this call. I've got about an hour and a half between now and when I have to go get my son from school. So the Deschutes River Trail is right outside my door. So it's about a half mile from my door. So I can go get on the trail, and I'll probably ride for, 5-6 miles and then come back. Just enough to get some trail on. Nice.
Yeah, very cool. The bike is looking pretty good, I would say. I didn't really get to pick a color with my bike, and so my bike actually deceivingly looks like my other bike. And so a couple people have asked me about that, if it's the exact same bike, and it's actually a little bit different and way more expensive than my other bike.
Isn't that kind of like, I don't know if it's depressing, but it's definitely something when you look at one bike and you're like, this kind of looks like that one, but I know it costs way more, but you don't know that, right? Like it's like cars. There's so many trims in cars, and you're like, oh, it looks like this truck, but there's like 5 different versions of the truck, and that truck may cost a lot. And you've put a bunch of time and effort in knowing that it's that thing for you. So.
Oh, totally. Well, that's the Teslas are like that too, right? Like especially the Model 3. So the Model S and the Model X actually have a number on the back to kind of signify which version it is. On the Tesla, there's small nuances to figure out which version it is. But for the untrained eye, you don't even get a number to see. So it'll just say Tesla on the back, or it'll just have a Tesla logo on the back. So it could be the $40,000 Tesla, or it could be $100,000 Model 3 Performance, and you wouldn't really know unless you kind of knew, some of the things that come on that car.
I assume they do that by design for some reason. I'm not sure what it is.
Audience capture, right? Like 100%. In order for you to feel like you can attain that, it's got to be audience capture. Like I could go get a bike similar like what Boo has for $1,500, or the bike that Boo has costs significantly, like order of magnitude times more than that. But I can attain something like what that is. So it's attainable for all audiences.
Yeah. What
like Ferrari, right? Like you see a Ferrari drive down the road, like there's a certain audience that attracts, and it's not the general audience, right? Like, I mean, it attracts everyone, but who can get one, right? Like, or afford it, or not sleep in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then like you see this in almost all, let's say, large scale bike manufacturers, Trek, Specialized, right? Name other ones that have been on for a long time. The majority or the bulk of their sales are not in the high-end parts, right? They're not selling S-Works bikes or, high-end Trek, tri bikes. They're not selling those all the time. They sell a lot of them, but they're going to sell 100 times the low-end bike. And if you can feel like you're part of that, like it's all consumer feelings. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would say so. John's bike is a Ferrari, I would say, of bikes. Well, it's custom built, whereas mine's off the shelf. And I would say for like full suspension bikes, there's only a couple bikes that are a little bit less priced than this. Otherwise, this is kind of the entry level for full suspension bikes, and they go way more expensive than this. And John's right. And so like if you go, and the bikes that my boys have are more entry level bikes, and the one that I had before this was more entry level bike for that type of bike, and those are hard to come by. And this one even had very little stock because it's kind of in the entry level for full suspension bikes. And then everything after this, you could go up into the store and go buy, $7,000-8,000 bikes pretty easily at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, the super expensive stuff, they'll always figure out a way to sell you.
So another thing on bike, like we were planning, my kids aren't home, so I can say all their Christmas presents because I don't think they'll watch this. Like we were planning my kids getting new bikes for Christmas. My son's, he hasn't quite outgrown his 16-inch, but he wants to leave the ground. Like on an every chance he can, he wants to leave the ground. And most 16-inch bikes have like coaster brakes in them. His does in this case, and it's a highly I think it's a Diamondback. Like they're all over the place, and you can get a whole bunch of them. But they're designed for everyone, not for the kid that's 4 that wants to go off an 8-foot gap. So we had to go find one, and my wife called Commensale in Colorado just to find out when their orders were, and they were very, very willing to help. So like we called, they're like, the orders are coming in tomorrow. You can place an order and we'll ship it to you. But it was hard to find bikes, and they manufacture bikes for that kind of niche, and for they sell quite a few other ones. They're a direct to consumer bike like a YT, or I'm blanking on the one that's in Europe. There's a whole bunch of like direct to consumer bikes. Commensale is one of them. They do a lot of testing actually in BC. They have some testing offices there because everyone wants to be in the BC area.
For a lot of them, Whistler,
yeah. I mean, it was probably the first and also the most known bike park, right? So most everything gets tested and trialed out there. A ton of the parts on my bike are from there. My bike is from, oh man, what's the name of the town that's just south?
Squamish.
It's not from Squamish. The one-up components that are on there are from Squamish, but on the Washington side, it's where the college is. I'm blanking on the name of the college, but Evil is from there. So it's all Pacific Northwest. Those are the conditions that everyone wants to get their bikes wrapped around. Anyways, so we ordered 2 bikes for my kids. They're already here. They're in a box. They're hiding at the grandparents' house, but they sell disc brake 16-inch bikes. And like we're sending him off. Like he's getting a full face helmet and body armor. And I said, as soon as he does that, he has all the pieces. You're welcome to do whatever you want. I like, and it's the 8-foot gaps are coming. So like, he's ready for it. The reason I had to get a different bike from it, Daryl, in case you didn't know this, is coaster brakes are the brakes that brake when you pedal backwards.
Okay.
So when you land, if
Yeah,
you
that's not
land,
good.
your feet kind of jerk. So you basically land into a brake.
Right.
And that's
yeah.
not a very good safety
That's not
feature
healthy.
for leaving
No.
the ground. So we want them to roll out, right? Like with brakes, and I'm picky, so I want something to last a little bit longer. So it has disc brakes on it. Yeah, Bellingham. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
I was just thinking of that too, Bellingham. Yeah.
Yep.
As
So
far as
they,
I watch a lot of YouTubers riding bikes right now, and Bellingham is like a very popular spot they seem to go to.
Yeah.
Not now, but
Well, right outside there, I mean, you have a mountain pass right there too, right? So there's quite a bit of stuff that you can all trial in, and then it's a quick drive, quick relative, but what, an hour and a half maybe to Whistler, right? To Squamish, like, so it's pretty quick.
yeah, I think Squamish has like 300 kilometers worth of trail out there, so you can keep pretty busy just in Squamish there for sure.
Yeah, I watch a lot of videos on that as well. But it looks like, I mean, the best testing ground for pretty much anything that you could build, because otherwise it's dry, right? Like riding in sand. I mean, if you can get in pine tree, if you can get wet, like you can get nice dirt. I mean, if everyone knows this, you'll learn a term, Daryl, like hero dirt, because it's not sticky, but it's compact. So like all of those are just prime conditions for riding a bike. We're pretty close to that here, but we are desert, right? We're a little bit higher than Squamish, and we don't get as much rain. So it's not all season long you have this perfect condition for riding a mountain bike. It's right before the rainy season or the snow season here, and maybe in like the July-ish when the thunderstorms roll through, you'll get some nice dirt, but it's not quite the same as it is up there.
So I assume you're gonna have to have the bikes for your boys or your kids all built for Christmas, so you can go for a ride on Christmas Day. You can't have it in the box, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's at my in-laws live really close to here, about, I don't know, 20 minutes. So I'll drive out that night or the night before and build them and then come back home. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to have them open them here or open them there, because we'll have, hopefully there'll be some travel opening up, and we have some family that'll come down from Washington. Yep. So it would be like a little more family, like, hey, look at all these bikes, and they'll want to go outside and ride them there. So they'll immediately, right? That's kind of like the end of Christmas if you give the big gift. Yeah. Like everything else is sweaters, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Do this other thing.
Socks and underwear.
Yeah.
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 Oh, very cool. All right. We've got, I don't know if I told you this, John, but we try to bring up some news articles to chat about during our show. And one of the ones, is this just going to pop up here? TELUS creating a $100 million venture capital fund for startups. So some fun stuff happening up here. Now, this one's kind of cool because it's a fund for good. So looking for responsible and sustainable startup businesses. And as a benefit of working with TELUS Venture Capital, a lot of resources here. So the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation, community boards, TELUS Health, TELUS Ventures, all resources that you can have. So just really cool being able to foster the tech community here in Vancouver. $100 million being injected by TELUS. Should be pretty good. That's awesome.
Yeah. I have to say TELUS is doing some pretty creative things over the last couple of years. It's impressive to watch. They seem to be executing pretty well on some of these.
Huh. No, that's really awesome, Mike.
Yeah. And we'll probably have, I have to ping him, but Daraj and his Get Fresh Ventures, and have him on the second season of Booze Hour Community Edition. But in a similar fashion, Daraj, if anybody was watching that one as well, they look for companies to work with that are also having a good social impact as well. So this kind of kills two birds with one stone, being able to inject more tech into Vancouver, providing them with the resources they need, but also finding the companies that are going to be able to do social good within the world as well. So pretty cool.
Just so I don't get wrong, what TELUS does, they're like a telephone or
telco, yeah.
Telco. Okay, that would be an interesting one. Like you think of, we'll take this down a notch by American television, right? Like you think of the Shark Tank show where you want to get backed by an individual that kind of meets whatever your selling motion is for an item. Like say I wanted to, I don't know, sell a t-shirt, right? That the lady that owns QVC or has a bunch of stake in QVC would probably be a good person, right? Because she has a platform for you to advertise on. Telco would be an interesting one because for one, if they're targeting sustainable things, right? Telco has to have a bunch of stuff. They have to have leased properties. They have to have resources for marketing. Like that's pretty good. Like if you're looking for a venture capital to back you, not just a money bag, but someone could actually push, how they do, let's say lease agreements in places where they have their towers, right? How they do, maybe you even take that a step farther and go crazy with like consumer consumption of your advertised product on their venture capital in a region, right? Like imagine doing region-based advertised pushes on Instagram, like just because you're in a TELUS area.
Yeah.
I know there's some fun things you could do with that. Oh.
They were talking about that thing when I worked at TELUS a long time ago, and all this stuff was not available yet, but it was like the whole imagine if discussion. That stuff is reality now. You're right.
Oh yeah, geofencing advertising, I think, is a thing that'll come up here pretty quick. You got to find some platform to inject it, right? And most advertising's, I don't know if you guys have had to deal with like advertising companies before, but most are from actual like maybe 3 or 2 in the US and then like a couple in places. And when you land on a page, like unfortunately Boo is probably browsing for whatever Park Royal is, right? Like it grabs cookies, it grabs geofencing, it grabs like traditional history and browser, and it populates advertisements based off of whatever you've done historically in real time. And then it can pull down things like videos or whatever like that. And those usually come from like 2 or 3 big manufacturers. So you got to figure out a way to tie that into a geo platform. That's a good way to get stuff. Like if you're in Disneyland proximity and you're looking for food, like these are the ones that we recommend because you're nearby without having to go to Yelp, right? They can pay advertisement companies to say you're near here.
So, Daryl and I are familiar with this company in Vancouver as well that works with IoT devices that will be able to do location tracking from within buildings. And so even to the point where you're walking through a mall and you happen to pass by a store and they can pick up on your device being there just because your Bluetooth MAC address sent out a beacon to one of their devices. And then they can start, let's say you have that mall's app installed, that mall could send up a pop-up notification saying, hey, stop by Aritzia or Lululemon and we got a sale on, and hey, you passed by for a second time, let's pop up a 10% coupon this time. Oh, you passed by a third time, it's up to 15% off if you just come into the store.
Oh man, just imagine any app that could do that. Like it was the Lulu app because I do digital ordering in Lulu and I walk by a store and it's like, here's 10% because you just happen to be nearby. How much audience would that pull in by doing that in the app?
You were shopping online and it noticed that, hey, you spent 5 minutes on the page for these pants, and then you actually walked by the store and it's like, hey, those pants that you were looking at yesterday, those are in stock in the store right now. You can go on and try them on. So that close to having that. Oh yeah, like push notifications for
even like Yelp could take that, right? We're saying like Lululemon or Aritzia, but like say you drive by a mom and pop shop and it's ice cream, right? You're nearby. Yelp goes, hey, you're nearby, right? Like this place is open. They have this flavor of ice cream you like because you historically ordered it. Walk in and we'll give you 10%. Right? Like that is an incredible way to transform consumerism.
Totally.
I don't know. We're on the wrong side of this.
Shout out for RX Networks, though, one of our good customers here in Vancouver. It's been growing really it's pretty substantially over the last couple of years. So I'm assuming that it's been a little while since we talked to those guys, but this project seemed to be well underway. So hopefully hopefully they've moved it along.
Yeah.
Be cool.
So we only have a few minutes left, and I thought this was really important to discuss here.
Oh,
now, John, have you seen Schitt's Creek?
I have seen every episode, and I ordered my wife an EU David shirt for Christmas and a sticker. So it's for sale. It's on the other side of isn't it like in Toronto?
Ontario,
Yeah, okay. So what?
$2 million. That's awesome.
$2 million, yeah. So just an hour outside of the GTA and a 15-minute drive from Orangeville.
Okay.
So there's pictures. Now, I didn't realize that it doesn't look like the hotel on the inside.
No.
Wow.
It actually looks pretty decent on the inside.
Yeah. So it was a set, right? Like they must have been on the outside, and then it was a set for wherever they were filming. Yeah. That's nice. Like I would stay there. Oh, that's cool.
Huh.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of basically the show. But there was one of the writers, right? Not I think his name is David Levy, right? The younger one, the son. He has a new movie out as well. I want to watch that too. So plug for Hulu and a David Levy movie. I think he's not a writer but an actor. So.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah,
so when did that get into the US fairly recently then? Like it'd been in Canada for a few years, and then it kind of hit Netflix and it got really huge, right?
Well, Netflix is a couple months behind the release. So you could watch it on I forget the name of the channel that you could watch it on. I watched it on Netflix because we don't have like cable, so I was getting it through, a Netflix stream. But there was a channel you could watch it on live in the States. I don't remember what the channel was. It was like it wasn't like Bravo or something like that. I don't remember the name. But I started watching it with my wife before we moved here. So maybe that was a year and a half ago, and we were probably a year before. That's like 2.5, maybe 3 years ago we started watching it. So pretty early in it. I think there was maybe 2 seasons out or maybe 1 season. But back then we were actually watching it live. We had whatever this channel was on cable to see it. But I recently watched the last season, which I thought was amazing. I was a little disappointed in ending. I think it had really good ending notes. But it was very quick to me. Like the last 2 episodes were very, very fast. Like you could tell that they were trying to get all of it buttoned up, and they did a good job for every storyline, but it was just very fast. Like it could have stretched out another, 2 episodes and could have been a longer season. But I do like 10 episode, 11 episode seasons. Theirs just felt kind of rushed kind of at the end. Almost they weren't quite sure. And then they were sure that it was going to end.
Yeah. A little manufactured at the end, but great show overall.
Yeah. To do a spoiler, right? Like, can we do spoilers on the show? I'm guessing.
I haven't finished it.
Oh, you haven't finished it yet? Okay, then never mind. Spoiler.
I got like 2 seasons left. How many seasons is there? 6?
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on season 4 or 5 at this point.
Okay. Well, then no spoilers. Finish your show.
We just watched a mini series on HBO called The Undoing, which I would highly recommend.
I read another article today on how good that show is. Like right now it's trending number 1 on Netflix, right? Or I think that's the platform it's on.
Yeah.
And they're like orders of magnitude higher than anything else that's on right now, which I think Queen's Gambit held for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. And now this one's taking it over. And I'm looking for a new show. So I told Lindsay I wanted to start watching that one. Yeah,
definitely worth watching. We just watched Queen's Gambit too, and which I thought was quite good, but I thought The Undoing was better. You enjoy it? Yeah.
Sounds like I watch a lot of TV, but I really don't.
Yeah.
There's like maybe an hour a day where I get some TV in, maybe an hour and a half, and then it's got some good. It's got to have some good mind share to it if I'm going to keep watching it.
Totally.
Although I do watch a lot of Mandalorian. There's Baby Yoda's right there. I guess Grogu for everyone else.
There you go.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet.
He's hiding back there. He normally hangs out, and it looks like he's wearing a Santa hat, but there's just a penguin behind him with a Santa hat. But it worked out. So,
well, we're up against the bottom of the hour here, so that blew by pretty quickly. But always great to see you, Jon. I guess we'll chat with you in the next few days on some customer calls.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to getting you back up to Vancouver when all is normal again.
When
Yeah.
the sentence ends there. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So thanks again, Jon. Great to see you.
see you guys.
All right.
Bye, folks.
See ya.
Thanks for checking this out today. If you're watching via YouTube right now, go ahead and click subscribe down below. Also click the bell for notifications. That way you will find out when we are dropping a new video or when we're going live. Also, there's darylandboo.com. If you head over to that, leave your name and email address, we will drop a weekly technical newsletter in your inbox every Monday. Also, this is available via podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Head over to one of those, hit subscribe, and you'll be able to listen to us in the car on your commute or during a walk or a run. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.